Look at the stats here, we can see, I'm not a type person that likes to look at stats, but this is just something I got from Spencer FC. If you look at the stats there, you will see that he didn't leave because of Messi, because when Messi wasn't playing, Neymar filled his shoes and Neymar stepped in and did the job for him. We can see that he did it in the La Liga, the Champions League, and I don't know, I think the other one was the Cup, but yeah. So, that's not why he left. I think he just felt that the time was right. As we can see the stats here, he proves that he can step up when people are injured or stepping down. So now we're going to move on to the third point, which is PSG. PSG benefit from this. First of all, they're going to make that 200 mil back like that with the shirt sales that they get from Neymar. There was a 2-hour line to buy a Neymar shirt. They're also going to I think they will have a good Champions League run. I think they won't get to the final, but I think they'll have a good run. And not only that, they have the whole of Qatar by their side because the owner's from Qatar. I think also what PSG benefit from this is they have a world-class Neymar that's already proven what he's done in Europe, because when Barca first signed him at Santos, they didn't know what Neymar was going to be like. They didn't know if he was going to be good or bad. It was just going to be one of those washed-up talents from Brazil that ends up being useless. I can't really think of any. Maybe Paulinho. Paulinho is an example. But he was at Shakhtar before that anyway. So because we've seen players come directly from Brazil, like Gabriel Jesus. He was banging goals to City and then he got injured. But Neymar's proven that he can do that. He's not very injury prone, so they'll get the most out of the money. And he's like basically their marquee player. I know that they don't have marquee players in Liga, but he's basically their marquee player. And he's also proven that he's not only an assist guy, he's not only a skill king, he's a goal scorer. And that's 3 things you want in a winger. You want one that's skillful, he's pacey as well. So 4, he's skillful, pacey, able to score goals, and he's able to create goals. And we've seen him do that with the MSN. Maybe there could be a new partnership, and it's called the CND of Cavani, Neymar, Di Maria. Okay, because Cavani can bang in 50 in a season, and we all know that Neymar's better than Cavani. So I think Neymar can get in even more goals. Because when PSG had Zlatan Ibrahimovic, they killed the league. They were winning by 20 points. And he was scoring goals for fun in that Liga. That's what they needed, and they got him back. They've got Neymar now. Ibrahimovic was never up there in the Ballon d'Or because he played for PSG, a team in a league that isn't very competitive. When you look at the Premier League, that's very competitive, for example. Not many players get in the Premier League. It's always La Liga players. But is this the end of La Liga now that Neymar's gone? Yeah, just let me know your thoughts on that as well. But PSG are benefiting a lot from this transfer, I think. Not only from the club's point of view, but the fans' point of view. The fans get to see an in-prime Neymar play. And he's 25, so he's got 10 years ahead of him. So who knows what the future holds for Neymar. But it's just ridiculous, the amount. But that's what they had to do. Neymar weren't going to budge. Not Neymar. Barca weren't going to budge for anything more than at least his release clause. And they paid his release clause, and that's it. Most people pay their release clause and a fund. Like I think that's what Barca did with Suarez. And I think that's what Barca's doing now with Coutinho, because Coutinho has a release clause in his contract as well. And players are getting paid heaps now. And when you get big offers like that, you don't turn them down. And that's what's... Okay, PSG can pay for it. So you might say, oh, they might get bankrupt because of his wage. That's never going to happen because this club are owned by Qataris, and Qataris are rich because they're the second... I know my geography, but they're the second most... very sure that the second richest country in the world, not Lithuania, Luxembourg is first. Yes, Luxembourg, a tiny nation, and then Qatar, which is another tiny nation. But yeah, so that's what I think is going to be what's good for PSG. Now we're going to move on to the world of football, and most of this is bad stuff. Now let's move on to the world of football. Last year, the record transfer was broken. Pogba, 89 mil, and a year after, it's broken again with Neymar. Does that mean every year now we're going to have a new world record signing? Who's it going to be next year? Antoine Griezmann, Coutinho. He might stay this season and sign for more next year. Who is it going to be? And now the problem is money in football. Football isn't what we used to know it as. Back when I wasn't alive at this period, but back in the period I wasn't alive, the record signings were $1 million, $2 million. Now spending $1 million on $2 million on a player from in a European league is nothing. Even in FIFA, the game, if you spend $1 million on a player, they don't budge. They want more. But there's got to be something going on, because it was a surprise to everyone that Neymar went to PSG. I was expecting United or Arsenal or Man City, and this is the problem. These clubs have the money, so they spend their money on players, and that's how they win leagues from it. They don't win leagues from football, just playing football without having money, like Leicester City. And unfortunately, Leicester are never going to do that again, because they don't have 100 mil and as rich owners as all these other clubs do. So that means they're not going to win it again. I want a Leicester fairy tale to happen every season, but it doesn't. Now clubs are so fixated on their sponsorships, on their shirt sales, on their financial sales, even Manchester United. They're in the stock market. Manchester United, the most richest club in the world. The A-League has implemented rules. They've got a salary cap, and I think the Premier League could do this as a salary cap. So each club gets around $2-3 million to spend on players, and they can't go over it. And then if they want to sign a foreign marquee player, like Del Piero went to Sydney, David Villa went to New York City FC, William Gallas to Perth, they have to ask the Football Federation of Australia if they could sign those players and go over the salary cap. And most of the time they accept it because it's good for Australian football. That's something that the Premier League should have, because, or at least some leagues, they should at least try it out, because if you have a certain amount of how much money you can spend, then clubs are all spending the same amount of money, which means it's much more of a competition. Now, of course, if we can't get rid of all the money in these clubs, because then everyone's just going to go to China and US and India, and none of them will come to Australia when they're 38 and they can't walk, they'll come here. But that's what's going to happen. And I don't want the Chinese Super League taking over football. We've seen what money can do with football. They're ruining football. That's just how I see it. They're ruining football. They're not showing why they play football for passion. Ronaldinho shows this. He's playing it for, pretty sure he's still playing, but he's playing for Shakhtar Donetsk, the plane crash. He's playing there for fun, for free. This is what we still want in football. I don't want Paulinho, Modeste, who else? Ramirez, Tiote, rest in peace. All these average players going to the Chinese Super League because they've done what they can in Europe, and now they want to go and establish themselves in Asia. And they're not even that good players. Oscar's a good player, of course. Tevez, who put a tweet saying, I don't play for money, I play for football, and then he gets offered a football contract, and now he's a high-paid contract, and now he's the most paid player in the world. Carlos Tevez, he's played for West Ham United, Man City, and then went back to Argentina. It's just ridiculous where football's going now. Imagine what it's going to be like in 100 years. Surely there's going to be a $1 billion or €1 billion, £1 billion transfer. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Maybe when I'm 50 or 60 it will happen, but it's going to happen. And it just infuriates me how much money these clubs want and how much fixated they are on money. Memberships for Premier League clubs are expensive. They're like tickets to see games are expensive. The A-League memberships are $100, which is around £50-60, which is okay. But if you say that in England, they'd be like, why are you selling memberships for this low? For this low. Unfortunately, yeah, and this is just a prime example of what can happen when football clubs go overboard. When football clubs have the money to spend and they spend it. FIFA should put rules in place, but we all know FIFA, they want money too, and the corrupt people in their board aren't going to vote for it anyway, so it has to be down to the FA, just all the football federations in that respective country to do it, because we did it. There's A-League's done it. We've done the VAR, which is good as well, but we're not talking about that. And it's worked the salary cap, because you can even sign players that are from Australia and they can still be counted as your marquee player. The MLS has done it. That's why a lot of teams have one big superstar, and that's what I think is good about football. Yes, they go to these leagues, and they go for money, but at least there's at least one superstar in their team. Man City have spent £100 million or something on 4 or 5 players, and they broke the world's most expensive defender in a week. It was Kyle Walker. Now it's Mendy from Monaco. This is what football does now. You don't see transfers where it's less than £20 million or dollars anymore, unless it's from a championship team or like a A-League team. But even championship, if you want to sell players, it's at least Andrew Robertson from Liverpool is £7 million, which is around like $15-16 million AUD. You know, the only reason they sell for that much is because they're a championship side. They're not gonna, like, big clubs don't want to pay so much to these little clubs because they're stingy with their money. Okay. Anyway, that's been my views and thoughts on Neymar Jr. Let me know in the comments below what you think, if it's a good deal or not. I'm going to be showing you a little bit of example of this shout-out system that I'm doing now. So, my good friend Joel Hollingdale, how are you? He turned on his post notifications on my video, and he told me to shout him out. So go give him a follow on Instagram. It's Joel, I think with Joel, Joel, then another 2 L's .h, so Joel.h. Good friend of mine, plays Sharks, plays Sutherland Sharks, great soccer player. He's got a good girlfriend as well. How are you, Ashley? She's nice as well. He's been by my side for quite some time now. And yeah, that's it. Don't forget, turn on your post notifications so you can be in the running next to win. I hope you all have a splendid night. Enjoy the rest of your week. Sorry for the long video. I had to do it. It was about time. I thought it's been going on for a few days now, so I might as well do it. Premier League prediction videos coming soon, so stay tuned for that. And other than that, love, peace, and spread to the world. Yassle.